As someone with a large collection of indoor plants, I find myself doing daily rounds through each room, checking what might need a bit of care. In autumn, many plants require special attention to ensure they're healthy enough to make it through winter. This time of year, I love sharing my November routines, and today, I'll show you a glimpse of my home in mid-autumn. One of my pride and joys, a monstera, has stretched quite a bit since it first settled here. It climbs up with help, of course, but that flimsy string I grabbed at the last minute needs to go. I recently found a beautiful piece of bark in the forest, which I stuffed with moss and tucked into the pot as a new support. When I water the monstera, the water filters through the moss, and the roots seem to thrive, absorbing moisture through the airy gaps. It feels as if the monstera's roots are reaching toward the support itself, creating a natural bond. Nearby, my Hoya macrophylla albo-marginata is back on track after a tough spell. It developed a fungal issue that I didn't spot right away, but with some treatment, it's now thriving. After a long dormant period, a small new shoot finally emerged, a sure sign it's feeling better. My philodendron Brazil, on the other hand, has been begging for a repot. Its long vines trail around 4 meters, untangling them would be quite the task. I haven't yet figured out a way to display it that does it justice, but for now, it patiently waits. Then there's my jungle cactus, a unique beauty that only needs a taller stand to keep its leaves off the floor, and out of the way of my feet. My Hoya Waedii isn't demanding anything extra at the moment. It's growing quietly, having graced me with blooms over the summer. And there's my always dependable Paphiopedilum orchid, one of many scattered around my home. It recently settled into a final pot but is missing only a decorative cover, an easy fix. The burn mark on this leaf was from accidentally overspraying it with a soda solution while it was still young. It's a shame, but the plant is healthy, and the leaf will be hidden by summer. Not everything goes as planned, though. My anthurium bud snapped off in an accidental bump, and one of my aglaonemas has been waiting years for a spring refresh. I plan to replant it then, perhaps by cutting back the tops to encourage new growth. I'll just tie up its bare stems for now so the plant can hold itself together until the right time. Looking around, you'll find my ripsalis hanging by the window handle. These pots are snug, but they're lightweight enough not to weigh down the frame. When spring comes, I'll give them more room to grow and move them outside into the shade. My Syndapsis exotica trails beautifully along the wall, though it's developed bare patches that I'll deal with in the spring by propagating a few new cuttings. Under the east-facing window, everything is in order for now. Let's move on to check the main plant room. On the floor, I have ferns, commonly known as birds' nests. Their growth has recently improved, with new fronds unfurling. I keep a close eye to ensure that young shoots aren't affected by fungus, like this one here, for instance, with its brown-tipped new frond. The year 2024 has been, and still is, quite favorable for fungal growth, so I regularly spray all my plants with fungicides. As for this emerald velvet epicea, I'm thinking of letting it go. It hasn't bloomed once in the 8 years I've had it. In my epicea collection, I have varieties that bloom beautifully both in summer and winter. This ripsalis, on the other hand, I plan to hang from the ceiling to better showcase its strikingly long stems. Under the east-facing window, young Hoyas are growing on a table. These are finicky varieties that take their time to establish themselves and grow slowly. In November, I'll leave them alone, simply observing and, where necessary, adding support. In this spot, with maximum light exposure, my ruby necklace succulent is overwintering. During the winter, Othana ruby necklace may face 3 main issues. 1. Loss of color. Low light levels can cause the vibrant purple hue to fade. 2. Root rot. Overwatering in cold, damp soil leads to soft, falling leaves. 3. Fungal diseases. caused by poorly draining, wet conditions. These plants are tricky to water in this location. I often risk either overwatering or letting them dry out too much. Here's a cluster of large buds on my Roscioglossum rhodingester. I've showcased its blooming in previous videos, a link will pop up above. My Sideripsilus ramulosa red coral doesn't look its best by late November. On the balcony this summer, it was a vivid red, but now it's far less vibrant. From November to February, no fertilizers are applied. I let the plant rest. In spring, I will start feeding it with cactus or flowering plant fertilizers. In May, I will gradually acclimate it to outdoor light to restore its vibrant red color. Another plant that deserves a better display is my fishbone cactus, an unusual beauty that's stunning when it blooms. Its flower, though fleeting, fills the room with a scent that lingers. Here, I have a top cutting of a Philodendron maximum planted. It's already taking up a lot of space, and I'm not sure I'll be able to grow it to full maturity. I treat its roots the same way I do my Monstera's aerial roots, pressing them down and guiding them into the pot. And my Philodendron maximum is taking up plenty of room without making much of a visual impact. I may let it go to someone who'll appreciate it more. Then there's my Hoya Carry Splash. Despite its tall support, it stretches out, making itself at home across the room. For now, I'll let it be, but I'll need a way to showcase its vines soon. On the floor, there are two varieties of Oxalis vulcanicola. To the right, the pink one is the variegated plum crazy cultivar. It pairs beautifully with the pink-toned Ficus elastica Baileys. In the decorative terrarium, I have the jewel orchid Ladigia alba. Hanging gracefully from a branch is the stunning Ceropegia woodii, though its growth has slowed, and it's no longer blooming. Similarly, my Monstera borsajana albovariegata has slowed down compared to its summer growth. It needs repotting into a larger pot and a sturdy support, but I'll save that task for March. Here, there's a large bushy Ripsalis that occasionally yellows. Its stems dry up frequently, likely due to root issues. I may repot it before spring. It's fragile, so I'll need to handle it with care. Over here, in the shadowed background but still showing its fiery blooms and silver foliage, is the blooming Epicia inna. Nearby, my Pilea Moon Valley is flowering as well, but I remove the flowers to conserve its energy for growth. This young Ripsalis with its delicate stems is a favorite of mine, and I aim to grow it into a massive specimen. Against the wall is the hardy Ficus tunica, and beside it, I'm trying to grow a Philodendron gloriosum from a cutting. Then there's my Anthurium, still in bloom as if it's not already autumn. I'm quite happy with these two Anthuriums, the larger Clarinervium and the smaller Crystallinum. Both are thriving after their summer repotting, requiring no special care during fall and winter. By the south-facing window, there's a table filled with orchids, primarily hybrid Phalaenopsis from Taiwan. At the moment, my Paphiopedilum, Venus slipper orchids, are in bloom, while the Phalaenopsis are producing flower spikes. Many spikes grow toward the window light despite a grow light hanging above them. Some spikes I'll allow to cascade naturally from the pots, as orchids do in nature, while others I'll secure to stakes for upright growth. Flowers are more noticeable and appealing at eye level this way. In the western corner, two plants are blooming. My favorite constant bloomer, Hoya retusa, needs repotting soon. It's been flowering non-stop for 3 years in the same pot. To winter Hoya retusa, provide bright, indirect light or use a grow light for 10 to 12 hours daily. Keep the temperature around 64 degrees Fahrenheit 18 degrees Celsius and reduce watering, letting the soil dry completely between waterings. Avoid misting to prevent fungal issues. Regularly check for pests like spider mites or mealybugs, treat with insecticides if needed. Nearby is a blooming bush of Hibiscus rosasinensis pink variegata. It typically flowers 1 or 2 blooms at a time, despite having buds on every branch tip. While it's a beautiful plant, I still need to work on shaping the bush properly. I'm not happy with its current form. My Acalypha reptans, with its foxtail flowers, has lost about half its foliage this fall. I'll cut it back by half in spring, and the new shoots will make it bushy again. Here, 2 shade-tolerant plants have dry leaf tips. A touch of autumn melancholy I can only remedy by trimming the affected areas. My Alocasia cuprea needs close monitoring for spider mites, which love hiding in the ridges of its leaves. Regular warm showers or wiping with a damp cloth keep pests at bay. Here's a budding St. Paulia with variegated foliage. In the same spot for several years grows an Asplenium osaka, receiving a touch of light from the grow lamp. Next to it is another fern, Nephilepis cotton candy. I managed to propagate a baby from it, now thriving on the other side of the room. For now, my bushy philodendron Xanadu gold sprawls across the room, but I hope to eventually grow it into a proper trunk specimen. Buds are forming on the flower spikes of my jewel orchid Lodigia discolor. It bloomed profusely and fragrantly last year, rested for 10 months, and is now ready to flower again. My Dendrobium orchid is another excellent performer, always carrying several flower spikes. A recent addition to my aroid collection, Philodendron Selim Gold, has been with me for about 2 weeks. Its leaves regained turgor after repotting, and it seems perfectly happy. At the center of the table, directly under the grow light, are 2 varieties of Hawaiian hibiscus. I've only seen their blooms in photos so far, as they dropped half their leaves during shipping. I hope they adapt well under the grow light. Decorative leafed Hoyas, which mostly bloom in summer, currently showcase their stunning foliage, featuring splash patterns and variegation. My Epicia Northern Light needs attention. Its long trailing stems have sprawled across the floor. I plan to propagate and fill a pot with fresh young plants. Nearby is a tree-like Dieffenbachia tropic Marianne that needs a sturdy stake or a heavier pot, as it leans toward the light and risks toppling over. In contrast, the bushy Dieffenbachia volcano beside it is compact and lush, with no tall, heavy stems. In the background is a plant with a tongue-twisting name, Selanisarius chrysocardium, also known as fern-leaf cactus. It's native to Mexico and has tripled in size since I bought it. It's thriving after its summer repotting. Another success is my so-called plastic fern, with glossy, waxy leaves that look almost artificial. Sitting idle is my Philodendron splendid, a top cutting rooted while still attached to the mother plant. It's growing slowly, and nothing but spring can help it now. At my feet is the ever-vibrant Stroman the trio star, which bears the marks of autumn on its leaves. Growth is slower than in summer, and older leaves lose their decorative appeal. It'll recover fully in spring. Another variegated hibiscus, Hibiscus tiliaceus, has yet to bloom. You can see the detrimental effects of fungal spores on its curled leaves. Healthy leaves should lie flat like plates. I'll need to treat it again with a soda solution. Nearby, my Alocasia dragon scale is entering dormancy. By late January, only 10% of its foliage will remain. I'll stop heavy watering during this period. On the bamboo bench under the northwest window, the newest additions to my collection are settling in, variegated sansevierias. I'll share a video soon about how I received, unpacked, and potted them. But for now, let's return to our November plant tour. Here in plain sight, I've placed a cactus that had been battling a fungal infection. After treatment, its condition has stabilized, and I'm keeping a close eye on it. Nearby, hanging closer to the light, is a cascading pot of rooted cuttings from my Hoya Bella alba marginata. These cuttings were propagated from the mother plant this summer and have rooted successfully. The only challenge is keeping an eye out for red spider mites and giving the plant frequent showers to keep it healthy. This is the mother plant of Coleus apricot fever. While my collection of 100 Coleus varieties is overwintering in a separate room, this pot didn't fit, so it remains here. On the bright side, it adds a splash of color to this space. The cheerful blooms of my dancing lady orchid, Oncidium, are fading now, but it's a reliable and frequent bloomer. In the background, my tall, tree-like Dieffenbachia is leaning against the wall for support and doing well. And with that, my November plant tour comes to an end. As you've seen, caring for indoor plants during autumn mainly revolves around preventing fungal infections and spider mites, providing support for climbing in tall plants, and giving warm showers to keep foliage healthy. Fertilizing and repotting will wait until February. I hope you're enjoying tending to your plants this autumn and winter. They need our care during these quieter months. Wishing you a smooth and peaceful overwintering for your indoor jungle. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and show some love to my plants. See you next time.